I was never really a runner. The way I see running is a gift, especially when you have stage 4 cancer. I'm Anne. I'm running the Boston Marathon, presented by Bank of America. I run for Dana-Farber Cancer Institute to give people like me a chance to thrive in life, even with cancer.
Join Bank of America in helping Anne's cause. Give if you can at BofA.com/supportAnne. What would you like the power to do? References to charitable organizations is not an endorsement by Bank of America Corporation. Copyright 2025.
Uh-oh. The last cookie.
You can get a new box of cookies in as fast as an hour with Walmart Express Delivery.
Are you my guilty self-conscience?
No, I'm the voice offering you promo code EXPRESS for free delivery on your first order.
Hey, who ate my cookies?
You mean, these cookies?
Order now. Welcome to your Walmart. Promotion valid for first express delivery order. $50 minimum subject to availability. Restrictions apply.
Hi, and welcome to the 10-Minute Food Truck Training Podcast. My name is Bill Moore. I'm the founder of the Food Truck Training Group on Facebook, co-owner with my beautiful wife, Melissa, of our own food truck. It's called Food Truck 101, and I'm the executive director of the National Street Food Vendors Association, which is a nonprofit dedicated to education, advocacy, and uplifting all food vendors. Today, we're going to talk about sinks. Of all things, sinks. We had someone ask on our Facebook group about a floor plan, and they showed a couple of different trailers they were curious about, and one of them had a sink package in it that was just 2 sinks. Those particular sinks were located near the rear of the food truck, or food trailer actually, and then the hand wash sink was up near the front of the food trailer. Maybe it makes sense, maybe it doesn't. So let's talk about the issues with just that layout. So imagine an 18-foot food truck. You have a double sink at the far end, and then at the opposite end you have a hand wash sink. Just plumbing wise alone, what does that do? What does that mean? Well, it means, number one, that the plumbing has to run under the floor, because you definitely don't want those plumbing pipes leading to a common waste tank. You don't want those exposed or running underneath other pieces of equipment, because that's just a whole bunch of something's going to hit it and break it. So it's going to have to run under the floor. So now we got a problem of how is it protected underneath that floor? And of course, in the wintertime, for a lot of people, they're going to have it freeze. So if you are running the pipes through the floor, that means the tank is also underneath. So that's one problem. Not a very smart layout, and this was actually a floor plan that apparently someone sells. Not a well thought out floor plan. Second problem, a double sink. We are in food service, which means we need to have a triple sink. And yes, I know some places require a commissary and you can do the dishwashing at the commissary. Here's the problem. In order for you to stay in operation, you're going to have duplicates of all of your utensils, because you can't wash them because you don't have the triple sink. No, you can't just drop it on the floor, pick it up, and rinse it off, because that's not how you wash a dish. So the health department will say, yeah, we'll take that double sink. Can't wash your dishes in it, so it's useless. And you're going to have 2 or 3 or 4 backup utensils of every single thing you got. So all the tongs, all the ladles, all the spoons, all the forks, all the serving devices that you have, all the spatulas, you'll need to have multiple of. Because remember, they got to be traded out so often anyway if you're open any length of time. Typically, you want to trade those out every 2 hours if you want to be sanitary. And if you drop one, you got to replace it. So if you're going to have a sink, make it the right kind of sink. A double sink is worthless. Now you're saying, but maybe my menu doesn't require that. Maybe I'm mostly prepackaged. So the question becomes, why do you have a sink to begin with? It's a double sink. It's useless. You can't do anything with it. So why are you wasting the space? And if you really feel like you need a sink, then get the right kind of sink. A triple sink. Wash, rinse, sanitize. The thing about having wash, rinse, and sanitize, even if you're forced into having a commissary, is guess what? With the correct sinks, you can wash, rinse, and sanitize your stuff on site, so you're in the commissary as little as possible. Many people pay for the commissary by the hour. Why would you want to wait till you get there to wash a whole big pile of dishes? Because it also means you're toting the stuff in and out. Make your life as easy as possible based on the jurisdiction that you are working with. If they will allow you to have a triple sink, get one. What that also does for your future is it increases the resale value of your particular food truck or food trailer. Because not everybody's going to share your vision of, oh yeah, I want to sell exactly the menu you've got. So your setup will work perfectly. What they'll do is they'll look at it and go, well, I need a triple sink. I can't buy this one. sorry, I'm out. So think about the future resale value. It increases the value of the asset that you have. Even if you never sell, you still need to make it useful for yourself. Now, let's talk about the opposite ends. Wherever your hand wash sink is, it's got to have a drain. It's got to lead into your waste tank. Might as well put the triple sink right beside it. 8 feet is plenty enough space. I have an 8.5-foot trailer, which means that on the inside, it's very, very close to 8 feet wide. I have a full triple sink with drain boards on both sides. The sink is plenty big enough for me to wash every possible thing I've got on this food truck. And then I've got a separate hand wash. They are in a straight line from each other. The waste tank is directly underneath them. Now, in my case, the waste tank is under the floor, but that's the only thing that's under the floor water-wise, and it makes it a little bit easier as far as space goes underneath my sink package. I live in Florida. I don't have to worry about it freezing. Other people don't have that luxury of living someplace where it's warm year-round, so they may have their waste tank above the floor, and that's fine. But what you don't want is the pipes running all the way across everything, so they got to be together. It's all about being efficient within the space that you have. So what about having a 4-compartment sink and making one of those a hand wash? It's going to be awkward because a 4-compartment sink is basically a scrape sink, then wash, rinse, and sanitize. That's what it's supposed to be, or a pre-wash, so that way your soapy water doesn't get as dirty. So basically you have a drain board, you got a sink that's empty, and you're just using a sprayer, spraying off the food particles down the drain. Then you go into the wash, rinse, and sanitize cycle. And then a drain board on the opposite end to dry the stuff. So you can't set up one of those as a hand wash because number one, it's going to be way too deep. A hand wash has to be separated. All modern hand wash sinks now either have guards all the way around them to protect from splashing both directions, your hand washing splashing out and then other things splashing in, or they are way separated from the triple sink, meaning like on the opposite side. And we don't want that in a food truck because we want everything to be all in a straight line, so we're not having miles and miles of plumbing pipes running everywhere. So you can't take that 4-compartment sink and turn it into a hand wash sink. It's just not going to work. Another question that came up this weekend, seemed to be all about sinks, was what's the smallest sink you can get? And it still be a 3-compartment sink. Now, they do make what's a quote-unquote concession sink, which is really, really tiny. Basically, it'll fit third-size pans, maybe half-size, because I picked up one year before last for $100, and it was a full 3-compartment stainless steel sink, just like you would see in a restaurant, but it was tiny. It was designed for concessions. It had drain boards on both sides, but they were little. The actual basin where the wash, rinse, and sanitize was taking place, those were tiny as well, but it was a 3-compartment legitimate sink. And the lady told me it was designed to go on their little concession truck. And again, it was small. Don't remember the measurements. A lot of people suggested that you get the sink packages and they would link something that's on Amazon. And those particular sink packages weren't sink packages. They were 1/3 size pans that somebody drilled a hole in the bottom of and then got small plumbing pieces to fit to make it look like it's a sink. And basically it's some assembly required. So when you order it, you get a cheap faucet. It would have 3 1/3 size pans, each with a hole drilled in the bottom, and then the fittings to create a sink. The problem with those is, number one, it's third-size pans, so that means you can't put anything else in it other than maybe utensils, because a 6-size pan ain't going to fit because they're the same dimensions. A 9th-size pan would fit, but if you're using a whole bunch of 9th-size pans, you ain't real busy anyway. So this third-size pretend sink package also, if you think about it, has to be cut into a counter, which means the edges of those pans are going to be susceptible to all kind of drain stuff getting up underneath it. So whatever you've cut it into, whether it's stainless, which I hope it's stainless, or you've cut it into a wood, the wood's going to get ruined because there will be water seep up underneath it, and it's just not going to look right. Every time I see one of those, I go, you're such an amateur. Those are third-size pans. Now, what the interesting thing is you can go buy third-size pans. You can get some really, really cheap ones out there for roughly $6, $7 a piece. So let's say they're $10 a piece. You buy the little bit more expensive ones. So that's $30 worth of pans. You've cut a hole in them. You've gone out and bought the plumbing to turn them into a sink. So you spend another maybe $10, maybe. And then you bought the cheapest faucet you can find that will fit it, so another $10. You have $50 into it, max. They sell those kits for $125 to $150 on Amazon. Now, I have bought in the past hundreds, literally hundreds of 1/3 size pans from restaurants that are closing down, and many of those pans were pristine. You would have thought they just bought them, and I paid on average 50 cents a pan. So if you get some that haven't been abused and you sell that sink package for $150 and you've got into it 20, 25 most at the most, whole bunch of profit for something that screams, I'm an amateur. If you need a tiny sink package, the only place I would find acceptable to have a tiny sink package would be on a hot dog cart. And since you really can't wash dishes on a hot dog cart because you want to take those back to the commissary, you should only have a hand wash sink. And no, a hand wash sink is not a 6-size pan with a hole cut in the bottom of it, because that's not even big enough to wash your hands in. Just put a real sink on it. Doesn't take that much to put a real sink on a hot dog cart. And if you have any kind of a trailer, any kind of a truck, just get the smallest real triple sink you can get, and get the smallest real hand wash sink you can get. Because guess what? There are jurisdictions around the country that will dictate how big the basins need to be in the hand wash and in the triple sink. And if your basins aren't big enough, they won't approve you. So don't go out looking for cheap. Don't go out looking for small. Go out and first of all, ask, what am I allowed to have? So that way you're not spending good money, only to have to spend more money because you bought the wrong thing to begin with. Now, one last little thing. If your jurisdiction says, well, you got to have a commissary and you should not have a triple sink, ask them, can I still have a triple sink and still be legal while I use the commissary? And if they say, yes, you can, put a triple sink on it. It increases the resale value. It will increase your efficiency. It will make you a better operator. I understand working with a budget, but I also have standards. You should have standards. If I'm going to sell food, I want to be able to wash something if I drop it on the floor. I don't want to have to throw it somewhere and wait 5 hours while it's got all kinds of food on it, but sitting there attracting all kinds of insects and pests. Set your standards higher. Set yourself up for success. Follow what the legal points are in your area, but ask them, hey, can I have a triple sink and still get approved? And if they say yes, get a triple sink. Thank you guys so much for listening to the 10-Minute Food Truck Training Podcast. If you're finding everything that we do helpful, please consider subscribing. And if you love what we do, there'll be a link in the description for you to show some support. Until next time, you guys have a profitable week.